New York mass shooting, man. No, let's talk
Okay.
about gun violence. Let's talk about gun violence.
Well, they're related, you
They
know.
are
So
related. They
yeah,
are
okay,
related.
we can merge them into
The reason why I said that one though is because that part kind of branched off from what we were discussing last night, and part of it, you know, part of the discussion last night, it was heartening that we were having the discussion, but it was disheartening because to hear from some of our brothers that might be a little closer to it, even your sons, man, talking about how things are though, man. You know, talking about a 12-year-old kid with guns and all that other kind of stuff. And then we even branched off and start talking about solutions. That I mean, I have an 11-year-old son. So and I told you on the way home, every time we talked about these young kids with guns, I pictured my son in that instance because that is my son.
right,
You know,
right.
that part right there was, you know, and as I said last night, you know, this whole gun violence thing, man, you know, it's there's not one solution. It's gonna take a number of things uh, uh, to pull this thing back, but we have to do something. You know,
Right.
we have to do something. And you know, it's funny. Like, I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna listen. Having this conversation with someone, actually, I think they might have been talking about it on Facebook. Like they say, there's nothing new under the sun. And we find ourselves back where we were in the 90s. When they passed the 3 strikes and you're out law, that was Clinton. It was because things were crazy. Violence was running rampant and people were getting hit by stray bullets. And then the people in the middle that were being caught in the crossfire started saying, look, you have to do something because this is not sustainable. So they said, okay, you know what? If the third crime, whatever, regardless of what it is, you're getting sent up. And we're right back here now because you hear people saying the same thing. Okay, you know what? Lock them up.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's their solution for everything, right? Because it's slave labor, right? So these young kids, they're in a system. They flood our neighborhoods with guns and drugs, right? These young kids on these pills, they, do you, like I don't know nobody that manufactures pills. Like I know, you know, it'd be different if these kids was on a drug like you know, something that, you know, we could create. But I don't, these pharmaceutical companies are the ones who put these drugs in our neighborhoods, right? They
Right.
pay the they pay the doctors they pay the doctors to prescribe all these drugs to our people, and then they flood our gun. So they get them hooked on drugs, and then they flood our neighborhoods with guns, right?
Right. Right.
So you know, then the kids are going crazy because, all right,
They
and
high.
this is what we talked about last night. So it's deeper than just, all right, they started on the pills, they got the guns, and everything is going crazy. This has been happening for the last since the 80s. No, yeah, since the 80s. All right.
As far as
Remember
gun
when they
violence. Yeah.
remember no, right. Remember when they flooded our neighborhoods with crack and
Mm-hmm.
cocaine and all
Right.
that, right?
Right.
So you remember the little shorties that was out in the street, and you'd
Mm.
be like, "Shorty, get out the street, man! Come on,
Right.
man! Like,
Yeah.
or go down the block. You trying to get them
Right.
away from, you know, what I
Right.
mean, the thing, right? So then their parents is on crack. They out here in the street raising themselves. So them same little kids from the 80s that was raising themselves in the street,
And they had
now
kids.
they
Right.
got kids,
That's
and
right.
they ain't raising their kids because nobody raised them.
True. True, Knight.
So
True.
it's a cycle. And now we're 3 generations in, and you got kids that's 11, 12 years old shooting at each other,
That's right.
or just shooting. And
That's
that's
right.
the reason why, too, these shootings, they just shooting because they don't know really what they doing. They kids.
Mm-hmm.
So they just
Yeah.
out here busting thinking they doing something, and they killing innocent people because
That's
they
right.
don't even know how to use the gun.
Right.
I mean, they
Yeah.
know how to use it, but you know what I'm
Right. I
saying.
understand what you're
They're
saying.
not
Right.
experienced They not experienced in combat
Right.
or shooting
Now,
something.
let me say this also. When you said that's their response to everything, actually, the people that were talking about that, it wasn't they, it was us. This was
Talking about what?
talking about lock them up. This wasn't their response. This was our response. These were black folk that were saying that, and
Our
that's
who?
that. What do you mean? It was black folk talking about locking them
Who
up.
was saying they should lock them up?
Black folk, because you said that's their solution to everything, and I'm saying it wasn't they, it was
That
us.
is the system's solution to everything,
But when you
because
say
what
the
it
system, you talking
is,
about black folk. You talking about black folk.
no. I'm talking about the prison industrial complex.
No, well, you see, no. I'm talking about black people saying they're tired of this violence, start locking more people up. I'm not talking about the industrial, the prison system or anything. Black folk that are fed up with the way things are now on Facebook saying these kids or who's ever doing the shooting need to be locked up. It wasn't the system. These are people that we
But
know.
what I'm saying, I agree with that. But what I'm saying is, there's a reason that we got to this point. You get what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
and the reason is because of the prison industrial complex. You get what I'm saying? So the thing is, if they don't have any, like a lot of these corporations use the prison system to make their goods for pennies on the dollar. Right? That's why they're building all these prisons with all these shops in it, and textiles and all of this stuff. That is the reason, because they can charge pennies on the dollar for labor
Right.
that they're getting
Modern
from
day
these
slavery.
young people. Right. That's what it is. So
Yeah.
they're not going to stop that. They're not going to change that system, right? Because they make too much money from it. You get what I mean? Because think about this. It takes a certain amount of money to house a prisoner, right? You got to feed them. You got to give them a place to stay. You got to have utilities for them. You got to give them things to do.
You got to give them cable.
You got to give them right. But you know how they get around that? I mean, do you
because
know
they're
how
producing something? Yeah,
because
because they're producing something. They're selling product.
something, right? So that's what I mean. Like there's nuances to every situation.
Absolutely.
So I understand that black people are mad.
Absolutely, because we're the victims. We're the victims.
We're the victims, right?
Right.
But we're the victims not just from the kids. We're also the victims of the system.
Absolutely. Right.
You understand? Yeah.
Right.
So that's where
now let me ask you this, Nike, because remember last night one of the things that they started talking about was how some people, and I get it. What are your thoughts on this though? How remember we started talking about how they're in prison, they're they got cable, they have video games, they got iPads. I understand, and then we started talking about how some people, inmates, maybe on their way out, saying, "Listen, I don't have too much out there. I do better staying in. Give me my whole thing."
Because they want to make it comfortable. They want to make it comfortable for people in the system because they want you to come back.
So is that part of the problem?
It's like club fed, you know what I mean?
Should we make it? Should the goal then be to make it uncomfortable? What do you think? Should they have iPads?
That's a tough
Yeah, should they have iPads? Should they have? And I'm going to the extreme, but I'm doing it for a reason. Should they be sleeping on bricks so that they'll say, "Yo, I don't want to come back here"? You understand what I'm saying? I mean, what are your thoughts on that, man?
It's a hard situation because you can't take humanity away from you can't take humanity away from a person, right? Just because they committed a crime. You know what I mean?
I mean, but does humanity include an iPad? Does humanity include
that's where we are? That's where we are in the society. You know what I mean? That's the way this society functions now. You don't have to have
it. You don't have to have an iPad.
You don't have to have it.
Right, exactly.
Right. You don't have to have it.
Right.
But like I said,
what about
they want to make it as comfortable as possible So you don't mind going
I mean,
back
but
to prison.
well, listen to this though. Let's extrapolate on what you said though. You said the prison and industrial complex needs prisoners so that they can produce product, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Absolutely.
then we should be saying, and you just said that they want to make it comfortable so they can keep these inmates coming back, right?
Right.
So in other words, so we should be out here saying, make it uncomfortable so they won't want to go back, right? Shouldn't we be fighting then saying, make it as uncomfortable as possible? I mean, if they're trying to make it
you
comfortable,
can't say that across the board. You know why you can't say that across the board? Because there's a lot of people that are in jail for bullshit, right?
now that's different though. Now I agree with that.
That's
I
not
agree.
different.
I agree.
That's not different. So you can't make it where it's unlivable conditions, and then you got okay. I see that you have people in there for murder. You got
Right.
people in there for violence and all of that. But you
Right.
also have people that are in jail for stealing food.
Right.
You also
True.
have people that are
True.
in jail for stealing clothes. Or
Right.
you have people that are in there who wrote a bad check.
But wait a minute. But those aren't the ones saying. But those aren't the. I guess this is the question. Are they the ones though saying, you know, the one that's, and I'm kind of thinking out loud, that's stealing food? They're the ones that first chance to get out, they want to get out because they truly did something.
That's not true. Think about this, Stace. If you are unfortunate enough to have to go into a store and risk getting locked up to steal food, your situation out on the street ain't that good, right?
Yeah.
So in jail, you got 3 meals a day, and
right.
you know what I mean? There's a lot of people out on the street that ain't. It's not that they want to go out and do a lot of this stuff, but they just trying to survive.
So in other words, and I get it though, and I just asked that.
I did a lot of illegal stuff back when I was young,
right?
Because I was trying to survive. You get what I mean? I had mouths to feed, so I couldn't be like, I'm gonna just go to.
Well, no, whatever. For you it was a choice. It was a choice. You didn't have to. You didn't have to. You know, I mean,
that's you.
Yeah, true. I mean, I got it. But that your situation was a little different from the person that have mouths to feed. She doesn't have a job, can't, for whatever reason, can't get a job. So now I got to go steal a loaf of bread. That wasn't wasn't a lot of situations.
So I'm fresh out of high school, right? I'm putting in applications, but while I'm putting in these applications, I don't have no money coming in, and my son sitting here need to eat. He need Pampers. He need to eat. He need clothes. He need this. He need that.
Yeah, but
should I wait until I get an opportunity for somebody to call me for a job, or do I have to do what I got to do, or do I got to do? Hey, they lucky I wasn't out here, robbing and stealing or whatever.
Well, see, but we know that there is help out there for a person in that scenario that truly needs help. I mean, they have access to programs. They have food stamps. They have housing vouchers. They have medical.
What if I didn't want to be in the system? What if I didn't want to be on welfare?
See, okay, no. See, so you can't tell me and convince me that you got a kid over here behind you that need to eat, but you don't want to fill out a paperwork to get food stamp because you don't want to be on the system.
Oh no, I did. I had WIC. We had WIC, food stamps, all that. But what I'm trying to tell you is that's not enough. That's not enough to survive on. That's not enough to survive on. First of all, let me.
But you have people that
you haven't been in the system like I've been in the system. You can't survive on that little bit of money and food stamps that they give you. Then you're trying to get yourself ahead, right? You can't get ahead just by being on food. And here's another thing. You know what we had to do in order to get food stamps? I couldn't be in the household.
Yeah, I'm talking about that. Right.
You get what I'm saying?
There's a lot. There's a lot to it. I agree with that.
There's a lot to it. It's not just so. If you wanted to say like violent offenders, murderers, they go to a certain prison where it's all it's prison.
Right.
Where they won't want to go back.
Right. They don't want to sleep on the rocks.
Commit non-violent crimes, and then maybe their stay is a little bit different from what you call. You know what I'm saying? Like if I did a
if you stole a loaf of bread, you get an iPad when you go in, but the
dumbass.
Is that too real? Is that too you steal bread, you go to jail and get an iPad. Whereas the violent offender sleep on bricks.
That's fucked up.
But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, and you're right. There are nuances to it.